Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Hey, happy Friday. I'm Tre Tailor, and today we are coping with Teacher Appreciation Month. We're shining the spotlight on educators, staff, counselors, all of the men and women who help to teach people of all ages. Today, it's all about the babies. Jennifer McConnell has been director of the Brookland Academy CDC for 14 years, and she joins us today to talk about the baby. She's going to join us a little bit later on in the show, but first, your COVID community updates. History was made in South Carolina this week when the first African-American male was named Teacher of the Year. Dion Jamison grew up in Orangeburg and teaches for the Legacy Early College in Greenville. Not only is he the first Black male teacher, but he's also the first public charter school teacher to earn the Teacher of the Year title. Inclement weather that is forecasted for later on today is causing many South Carolina schools and after-school programs to close early. If you have not already, check your child's facility for more information. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and location for COVID testing and also vaccinations in and around South Carolina. Visit scdheck.gov for more information. Now, throughout the show, you will see scrolling at the bottom of your screen information on all types of resources that are available, including the website to get your 5 free rapid self-COVID tests, COVID vaccinations and testing for VAs, for veterans. It's happening at the VA. Kroger Pharmacies is among the retailers that are offering COVID vaccinations. Also, CVS is offering vaccinations. That includes their CVS is located in Target stores. Walgreens is also offering COVID vaccinations and free N95 masks. The Brookland Baptist Church Vaccine Clinic continues their 7-day-a-week schedule. You can see that information on the screen, and it will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And listen, the Comet bus system is also not only offering free rides to get your vaccination, they are offering vaccination and free testing at their main location at the corner of Sumter and Laurel Streets. We'll also be scrolling at the bottom of the screen information on Get Set Up. If you or someone you know is technologically challenged, Get Set Up can help them get set up to make their COVID vaccine appointment. There are also some financial resources, including FEMA. Their COVID funeral reimbursement is still going on. SC Bar Association and SC Legal Services, their toll-free number and website for rental and mortgage help is still going on. Lexington County still has funds in their bill assistance program. SC Housing and Dominion Energy rental and utilities assistance. And if you or someone you know is having a challenge coping with COVID, the Department of Mental Health has SC Hopes. It's a 24-hour assistance line. Now, the Brookland Lakeview Empowerment Center is holding registration for free diabetes management classes that begin this month. And then we also have several job postings, Spectrum and the City of Columbia having an open house every Wednesday from 8 until 11 at their new facility at 2198 Colonial Drive. Don't forget, scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the show, you will see all of that information and so much more. You're watching Coping with Tre Tailor. We are streaming live on the Tailor Made production page on Facebook. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow. Not only will you be able to get updates as to when we do go live, Wellness Wednesday on Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council, but also on Thursday and Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We're also streaming live on YouTube. Say hello to all of you YouTubers. Thank you so much for joining us. Please go over there and hit the subscribe button. We also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. Coming up, we are shining the spotlight as we are coping with Teacher Appreciation Week. Every Friday in May, we are shining the spotlight on the men and women that do so much, not only for kids, but for adults too. We are celebrating Teacher Education Month, and coming up, we're going to talk with Jennifer McConnell. She's at the Brookland Baptist Child Development Center, and we're going to talk to her coming up next on Coping with Tre Tailor. We'll be right back.
The Comet gives me a reliable source of transportation.
It's very convenient to me, and they have wonderful drivers.
It's clean, and it builds community. It's fun to meet people.
It makes me feel like really independent. It's just fun.
Comet's always going to be there, and it gets me everywhere I need to go.
We try to ride every single day. Comet is our livelihood.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives, but when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Aiken-Cochran. As Miss America, I know that taking care of yourself is important. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join the Diabetes Prevention Program.
You're watching Coping with Tre Tailor. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, don't forget, we are streaming live on the Tailor Made Production Facebook page. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow, and get notifications as to when we go live Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're also streaming live on our YouTube channel. Please go over there and hit the subscribe button. We've got a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. So please like and share and follow. Speaking of liking and sharing and listening, if you do have a question or a comment, you can put it in the comment section and we'll be sure to get it to our guests. It's Teacher Appreciation Month, and we're shining the spotlight on educators, staff, counselors, all of the men and women who help to teach people of all ages. Today, it's all about the babies. Jennifer McConnell has been director of the Brookland Academy CDC for 14 years. So she has seen many children and staff members come and go. Hey, thank you, Jennifer, so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Happy Teacher Appreciation Month.
Yay, thank you. We'll take it.
Yeah. So listen, tell me why you got into teaching.
I got into teaching because of a childhood that allowed me to play teacher, aka the boss. And so I can remember asking teachers at the end of the school year for all of their sheet work that they were going to discard so I could teach students and my cousins and friends in our garage. And I would call them my students, but they were my cousins or my siblings, and I would just be the play teacher. And so I also had an aunt who also was in education for many years. And just in general, I've loved, all things teaching. My mom did teaching for a while. So it was just natural for me in many cases to become a teacher. The original focus was going to be on K through 12. But I fell in love with early childhood education, which is the 0 to 5-year-olds at Brookland Academy. And I started working in childcare in college at the Sunshine House and then made my way over to Brookland. And I've been here actually going on 17 years in August.
Wow. Congratulations. Yeah, I was going to ask you why the babies. What is it that I guess, hit your heart while you were at the Sunshine House to want to focus on the very little ones?
So in the beginning, Trey, it really felt like what most people would describe as babysitting when we worked at a daycare center. And even though I was in college at Benedict College pursuing a degree in education, I knew it was more than just daycare or babysitting. The structure was a little different at the Sunshine House. And for many times or not, I was a little embarrassed to even say I worked in childcare, because when you told somebody where you work, they would say, "Oh, you're with the babies. You're at the daycare center, or you're babysitting." And
Right.
I won't tell you no story. One day when I met a classmate in the hallway at the Banquet and Conference Center at Brookland, they were like, "So what are you doing now?" And I said, "Oh, I work over at the Child Development Center." And they're like, "Oh, so you're a babysitter or daycare worker?" I said, "No, we're the foundation.
Right.
We set the tone for children in preschool." And yes, if you're in a daycare center or you have a babysitter that is structuring your day, either way you put it, that will set the tone for children to have early success. But when you're in a child development center and you're focusing on the academics in order to get children prepared for kindergarten, we set those children up for success. And we also set the teacher that's going to be receiving that child up for success. So it is good to know that when you come to a preschool, or when a parent invests in preschool, because we know that preschool comes at a cost. It's almost
Yeah.
as expensive as, college tuition. But this is the early years of development, and it's the most crucial. And so through brain development, we know that our children need to have stimulating experiences. They need to have social and emotional development that allows them to interact in a safe, nurturing environment in order for them to be prepared for wherever their parents may choose to send them after they graduate from our 4K program.
I'm so glad you said that, Jennifer, because you are so right. The foundation of a child's learning experience is the early years. And that's why I think it is so important. And, I'm not knocking homeschooling. If you are set up to homeschool your child, if you are set up mentally, physically, emotionally, educationally, to make sure they have those early foundational things, power to you. But if you're not, and you can, I am a big proponent of early childhood, because that's what makes a difference when they do go to school.
Absolutely. And you'll hear people all the time, or parents that will come to us and say, "I know I didn't teach that to him or her." Where did they learn it from? And it's not the negative things that, sometimes children will learn behaviors,
pick up,
they'll
yeah.
learn different words that you don't know where it came from. So we may be, guilty of some of the good and the bad, but more times than not, is a whole lot of good that goes into a child being a part of a structured, loving environment where we set the tone for learning, and that discipline that comes from knowing that there is an expectation for you to progress even at this young age. So we talk about, when do children begin to learn? We know that is, in the womb. It starts when a mother is carrying that child. And so the early years are the most crucial years for our children. And you generally will hear where they will teachers will say, "This child is behind," or "We're trying to get them caught up." Well, we're trying to make sure that our children are not in a situation where they're having to catch up, because we know that all children are capable of learning. They just need to be stimulated in ways that brings excitement and enjoyment, that says that education is important.
Yeah, you're so right. You're so right. Jennifer McConnell joins us. She has been with the Brookland CDC for almost 17 years. You say this is your 17th year, right, Jennifer?
August the 5th will be 17 years. And when I started here, I was a teacher. I started out in the infant room, and we opened in 2005. It was one of the things that Pastor Jackson wanted as a part of the community resource centers at Brookland Baptist Church. And he is a big proponent of education, and our children are the next generation of believers. And so we are trying to pour into our children the foundation that is even built off of spirituality. So we are a faith-based child care center that incorporates Christ in our learning as well as the teaching. But it is definitely a place where we can enjoy ourselves in and having fun. And even with these pictures, the pictures can show a whole lot of what happens on our day to day when it comes with their interactions with their classmates, as
Yeah.
well as with their caregivers or teachers.
Yeah. So tell me how COVID affected not only the CDC, but the childcare industry in general. I know that was challenging.
It was challenging. It was one in which we were at a loss because we hadn't been in a situation where we actually would close. Like today, there's a pending inclement weather,
Right,
and
right.
we think, okay, maybe a half day or maybe a day. But when you say 6 months, your child care center is closed. Unfortunately, a lot of centers didn't bounce back. They weren't able to close. But
Right.
through the pandemic, we kept our communication open with our parents. We gave them what the plan was for reopening to make sure that it was a safe environment, not only for their children, but also for our staff. We have one of our oldest staff members is 77 years old, and she did not want to stay home. She was like, I'm coming to be with the babies.
Yeah.
And so we made sure that we made a commitment between parent, staff, to know that our goal, number one goal, was to keep children and families safe, and we did that. And thankfully, our parents came back when we reopened in September of 2020. We've been running ever since. We hadn't had to close our center. For those who may not believe in the mask, and whatever their opinion is, I can say that the mask truly did work for us because our center did not have to close for an extended period of time once we reopened. We had one day where we went for testing as a staff, but my staff was on board for getting vaccinations, and they were parents and staff on board to wear masks. And whereas throughout the year you'll see all different types of illnesses, we have not had a line of children that have been absent for an extended period of time. The cold and flu is down. The pink eye is down. I mean, across the board, we have had fewer children out ill during this time frame, and I can only attribute that to us doing our part,
Yeah.
trying to mitigate the risk, taking the precautions as they were given from our officials, and we have reaped the benefits of being able to be open. Um, Unfortunately, there is still a loss from COVID because we had to adjust our business hours. So instead of us being open 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., we are open 7:30 to 5. Instead of us having 94 students enrolled in our program, we're right about 60 students. And a lot of that is based on the fact of staffing. So
Yeah.
we would like to increase our enrollment back to where we were before COVID. But I am a big proponent of a qualified, quality staff person that's willing and able to uphold the standards of childcare when it comes to working with our children and families. And so we have our classrooms based off of the ratios through the Department of Social Services. So we are small in number, but we are mighty.
Yeah, it's Teacher Appreciation Month, and we are shining the spotlight every Friday in May on teachers in our community. Jennifer McConnell joins us from the Brookland Baptist Child Development Center. Jennifer Mitchell Peacejoy Jen wants to know what advice you would give to young people interested in becoming a teacher. Thank you, Mitchell, for your question.
Oh my gosh, that's somebody you must have knows that's knocking at the door of my heart. I want people to know, and I want our young adults to know that this is not just a job. It truly is a career. It
Yeah.
started off for me as a job, and through my years of experience and coming to know what our purpose is, this is a career. And through this career, there are endless opportunities that sets not only the tone for children and their learning, but this is a whole new trajectory for adults where we can expand our efforts in making sure.
Hey, Jennifer, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Your
So,
mic is muted. There you go. I was going to say your mic is muted.
got it.
Okay.
Okay, here I am. So where it is, where whatever part I might have missed off on, I would say yes. Anybody who's seeking the profession of early childhood education, it is the most rewarding part of it is the fact that you get to see the growth and development of children and the excitement from parents knowing that the foundation has been laid for the child to be their best self as they pursue their educational goals.
I want to ask you about the type of support you need. First, I want to ask about parents, the community, and even the government. What kind of support do teachers need?
We need more funding. And what has been good through COVID is that the American Cares Act gave money, dollars to our state. And so through the Department of Social Services, we've been able to apply for grants and we've been approved for those grants. And that has helped to retain teachers by giving bonuses as well as increasing our hourly wages. But overall, parents in general need support in being able to afford childcare. We are in competition more times than not with fast food businesses and retail businesses where they're now able to pay $15 an hour. In order for us to be able to pay $15 an hour, that funding has to come from our tuition. And that tuition comes from our parents. Mm-hmm. And so in the state of South Carolina, even if we move the needle for minimum wage, it would be more helpful because at this point, the minimum wage is too low. And there is not a person I can imagine really where you would say it's enough money to be sustainable. It's enough money to raise children off of. And so we have a ways to go as it pertains with early childhood education because there's endless funding as we know for K through 12. But the only funding that comes is if you are a part of state agency programs like the South Carolina First Steps 4K program or the Department of Social Services ABC voucher program. Outside of that, more times than not, we don't qualify for grants depending on the fact that you may be a faith-based childcare center. You may not serve enough population to be able to say, you qualify. So we need our state officials to champion early childhood education. If you know any lawmaker or person that's seeking a political role, ask them what is their stance on early childhood education and how do they plan to help support it.
Right. So do you think it should all early childhood education should be free?
At a certain point, yes. If you look at the data for the amount of parents that are now on the pandemic 300 voucher program, those parents wouldn't typically qualify for the ABC voucher program, but because of the pandemic and the poverty level of 300 threshold, we have now more parents than not on the ABC voucher program. We generally would have about 8 parents that would be on the voucher program. We actually right now have 21 parents participating in that program. And what the ABC voucher program does, it allows to offset the cost for childcare. It could be a percentage or it could be at full rate. Mm-hmm. So if your childcare tuition is $175 and the Department of Social Services gives you $100, then the parent is only responsible for $75. That is so helpful for the household because that extra $100 can be for the gas, because we know gas has increased, the inflation, food costs, clothing, shelter. All of the benefits come from being able to help parents take that bill off of the table and be able to prioritize it in other areas in which we need to make sure our children are being cared for.
Yeah, and then of course, that frees that parent up to go to work because they don't have to stay home with the child.
Absolutely. And whatever myth is out there that says that parents just don't want to work and that parents, just want to lay around, I can tell you, I don't know how many parents that I've met that don't want to work and want to lay around. What they are asking is, how can you help me help myself? Yeah. And so help my child. And so if quality childcare is available, and when the governor said that everybody was returning to work. And now that we've had several child care centers to close or the tuition rate has increased, it pushed some parents out from getting child care. Our waiting list right now is extensive. We have parents that are waiting. We would love to enroll them in our program. But one, we need the staffing. But two, we need the child care.
Right.
Open because other child care centers can't afford to bring in more children either. And so for those parents that don't know about early childhood education, in a quality preschool program, we are regulated to have an adult-child ratio. And when you're not in compliance with that adult-child ratio, you compromise the safety of children. You compromise your licensing standards. So we have to do our part to make sure we are in good standing to be able to provide the service. And I am one of those people, if you remember, lean on me. I'm not a Joe Clark director. I'm not going to, take the chains off the door when I see them coming. I want you to come. I want you to see us in action. And if there's ever that type of, raising of the eyebrow, come tell me about it. Because at the end of the day, I'm only as good as my staff, and my staff is only as good as me. And our school is only as good as our parents and children.
Absolutely. We've got one last question. Someone wants to know about your summer camp program and what is the curriculum if you have one. Thank you for the question.
Yep, thank you for that. So typically we would have our summer camp program for children 5 to age 10. Unfortunately, we are unable to host camp. And again, it's due to staffing. So in-house, we have the children that will be graduating to go to kindergarten in August. And that will be our small group of summer camp children. But generally, we would have 10 weeks of fun, of activities outside of the campus of Brookland Baptist. But because of staffing, because of also the spacing, when you think about bringing in school-age children, they want to be active. They don't want to be cramped up in a room. And so we are still, we still do have concerns about COVID. It's not as, our alert is not as, high as it was in the very beginning. But we want to give children the best experience for summer. And this summer, like the previous 2 summers, is just not in a good place to host camp, to then take dollars from parents for a program that may not give them that summer experience that our children deserve.
Right. Jennifer McConnell is 17 years at the Brookland CDC, and we are this month spotlighting teachers. It's Teacher Appreciation Month. Every Friday in May, we are talking to the men and women who inspire and educate us all. Jennifer, thank you so much for all you do for the babies. We appreciate you joining us today on Coping.
Thank you. And if nothing else, if you can't afford to buy a donut or buy an apple, it's free to just say thank you and to please extend grace. And that's what educators need right now. Kindness,
absolutely,
and grace, and a big thank you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, we all need to extend that grace to each other, Jennifer. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. It is Teacher Appreciation Month. And like I said, every Friday in May, we're shining the spotlight on the men and women who inspire and educate us all. As a matter of fact, next week, we're going to talk to the folks at Haywood Career Center here in Columbia, South Carolina. They actually teach trades to high schoolers. So that's what we'll talk about next week. As a matter of fact, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please email booking@copingwithtreTailor.com. That information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Do you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID? Please email copingwithtreTailor@gmail.com. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina. They bring us Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. Our other sponsors include Black Expo, which is coming to town May 20th and the 21st. Black Expo will feature Kiera Kiki Sheard, also Anthony Anderson, and then The Taste with Leela James. Also Agape Counseling and Training Center Services, the Comet Bus Systems, Computers Unique Dutch Square Mall, Palmetto Media Connections, Javis Tax Service, and also the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, Attorney Byron Gibson. As I said, coming up next week, we're going to talk to the folks at Haywood Career Center as we continue to shine the spotlight on the men and women who help us so much and educate all of us. Also on Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Action Council, every day this month, we're going to talk about physical fitness. It is Women's Fitness Month. It is Senior Citizens Fitness Month, and it is Fitness Month. So we're going to talk with some folks about biking, tennis, yoga, Tai Chi, and talk to some clinicians to tell us how these activities benefit all of us. We're going to kick that off next Wednesday with the folks with the National Tennis Association. That and more coming up on Coping with Tre Tailor. As always, I leave you with a reading from Conversations with God. This is the book that we have been reading this year, as a matter of fact. And this is one of the readings. It says, I'll show up and take care of you as promised. This is the Lord talking. I know what I am doing. I have it all planned out. Plans to take care of you, not to abandon you. Plans to give you the future you had hoped for. This is based on Jeremiah 29:11. What a great reminder that God has got it all in control. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you guys so much again for joining us on Coping with Tre Tailor. Hey, have a wonderful weekend. Happy Mother's Day to you. And until the meantime, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. Take care. God bless and stay well. And don't forget to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. Happy Mother's Day.
Coping with COVID. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In It Together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council. Presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC, In It Together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.